Imagine baking your very first sweet treat, and 14 years later, it becomes your full-time business. That's exactly what happened to Ee-Lyn, co-founder of The Accidental Bakers. What started as a craving turned into a side hustle, with no grand plan, no prior experience, and certainly no idea that this would become her full-time calling. In today's conversation, we'll hear how Ee-Lyn has stumbled into entrepreneurship and what it really takes to step away from the safe path and to fully step into a world that she's built with her very own two hands. Thank you so much for being here today, Ee-Lyn.
Thank you for having me.
I guess the first question would be, how do you get into baking?
Okay, so literally when I tell people I'm from the Accidental Bakers, it really is the Accidental Bakers because so this company was built by me and my business partner husband, and both of us have no prior training. We are not professionally trained. We are self-taught by YouTube. We're very proud about that. A lot of trial and error. So when we say we're the Accidental Bakers, we are the Accidental Bakers because we both come from a corporate background and literally just fell into it all by accident. This was never in our dreams, in our stars, never in that. We literally just wanted to eat a good piece of cake. So that's how we started baking, because we just wanted to eat cake. And then, when we were thinking of a name, it was so funny. When it came to us, the Accidental Bakers, it was like a light bulb had just gone off. We were like, this is it. This is what we are, because there were no plans. Everything happened by accident, a happy accident. And here we are 14 years later.
That's amazing. You just stumbled into it.
Literally by accident. A lot of people like to ask us as well, is it because you got into an accident? And we're like, no. No such accident, but accident like falling into it, without any planning or anything. Yeah.
I like the term, a happy accident.
Very.
Yeah. Since you stumbled into this, did you do any research or testing, or was it just with family and friends or anything like that?
It really started just with family and friends. And even by then, we weren't thinking about selling it. Every time we baked, because if you've ever tried baking something, you can't just bake one cupcake. It comes out 6, 12, 24, 48, cupcakes in a single batch. And you can't physically eat all that either. So you get to a point where you're like, okay, I've baked 24 cupcakes today. Let's give it out. So we used to be me and my business partner husband used to be part of this crazy 5:45 a.m. boot camp group. So that was actually the first place that we actually debuted our things. So we were those horrible people who would do this really grueling workout at 5:45 in the morning. And at the end of it, we'd be like, cupcakes for everyone. And this is our trainer going, no, don't feed people cupcakes. We used to be like, no, this is just a little breakfast treat for them. But that's actually how it started. We started just sharing it with family and friends like that. And then after a while, people were like, can I take an order from you? And we were like, you mean you want to pay money for this? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. And one thing led to another. And that was actually how we got our very first client. One of our trainers actually was a cafe owner. And he was looking for someone to supply desserts to his cafe. And that ended up being like sort of official sort of wholesale order. That was our first wholesale order. Okay. It started from there. He tasted our stuff and went, this is great. Can I put your desserts in my cafe? And I think like 14 years ago, that was very new for cafes to take desserts from home bakers. Because they would be taking them from all the big professional kitchens, commercial kitchens or commercial suppliers. And it was almost unheard of at that point to say, I want to take something from a home baker especially. But that's exactly how we started. And then from there, we realized that people were tasting our stuff at this cafe and asking. And some of them ended up being other cafe owners as well. So they were just like, who are these bakers? And thankfully, our former trainer was very sort of kind, and he wasn't gatekeeping anything. He was like, you want to know who this is? Here you go. Here's a contact.
I love that.
Yeah. So it was a lot of word of mouth, and that's exactly how it started, actually.
I love that the testing, the research, the marketing was all based on generosity and sharing.
Absolutely. With zero expectations. We never expected anything in return. And I'd like to believe that actually ended up being repaid to us many, many times over.
Wow, that's such a beautiful story. So then now you're having a full-time job, and then your side business is growing and growing.
Yes, that's exactly how we were.
So how did you juggle both of this? And also, what were the indicators that it was time to just go all in?
So I think we did it for 3 years. We like to think that the true inception of the Accidental Bakers was in 2011. And we were both holding down full-time corporate jobs at that point. And we didn't go full-time till April 2014.
Okay.
So that was a good almost 3 years that we were doing this part-time. And when we say part-time, it means after work, we would pack up our laptops, whatever, go home and bake. And then we also did it on weekends as well. So that was basically our life for like 2.5, 3 years. But we didn't complain. We loved it. But it did eventually get to a point, I think I remembered it being towards the end of 2013, when we really started having conversations about, do we want to do this full time? And that was because our cafe orders were increasing every week. So it got to a point where we were like, we just don't have the time physically to be able to bake these larger amounts and hold down a full-time job. So we were like, what do we do? You sort of come to a crossroad where you're like, what do we do next? Do we keep trying to balance these two things, or do we have to give one up? And if we're going to give up our corporate job, is that what we're going to do? And that had to be something that both of us had to decide to do together.
Right.
It wasn't going to work if one of us quit our jobs and the other kept going. So it had to be sort of a mutual decision between the two of us. Yeah.
I see. You had to fully dive into that.
And that, I think that conversation actually took place over months. This was not a decision that was made lightly. This was not something we said, okay, fine, let's just quit tomorrow. I think we gave ourselves a good 6 months preparation.
Of course.
Yeah, to slowly like ease our way out to it. Yeah. And eventually we said, you know what, let's do it. Maybe we give ourselves 6 months. If this doesn't work out, I think to lose 6 months and go back into corporate isn't too big a deal.
I see.
Yeah. So I think we give ourselves 6 months to a year. We said, if by 6 months we're starting to just pick up, maybe we'll extend it another 6 months and see how it goes. But if maybe it really bombed within the first 6 months, then let's cut our losses. It's safe to say we can go back to corporate as well.
I see. So then that was sort of your way of minimizing the risk.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for us, the 6 months building up to it as well was for us to save money, because we said we needed to have that sort of backup for the next 6 months.
That nest.
Definitely that little nest of ours, because we said we don't know if we're going to get orders. What if we don't get enough orders to sustain?
Yeah.
Or, everything that could have gone wrong, right? We were like, we needed to build a little sort of a nest. That's why we gave ourselves 6 months before we finally resigned. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Must have been so scary to take that leap as well.
It was very scary.
Yeah.
It was extremely scary. And for me personally, it was also leaving a corporate job I loved. So that was tough as well. So that was a bit of a loss, because I was sad that I was giving up a job I loved. So I was like, this is not some situation where it's like, oh, thank goodness I get to do what I love. Unfortunately, it was a corporate job I loved.
Yeah.
And it was also, baking was also something I loved.
Right.
So it was tough being stuck between a rock and a hard place.
It's not a dilemma of I hate this job, so I'm just gonna leave. No, it
I
wasn't like you're
loved
rage
it.
quitting.
Exactly. No rage quitting at all. I loved my job. So I was just like, I was really sad to have to give it up. But at the same time, I'm like, but I want to do something that's me, something that's mine, something that we've built. And so we're like, let's just try.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. Because you've done so much work on the skills that you've built and the talent that you've built in your previous organization, do you see how some of these skills was maybe transferable to your new venture?
Oh, absolutely. I think it ended up helping us a lot. So my background is actually in media and PR and journalism. That's my background. My business partner, husband's, it was in retail, marketing, and headhunting. So it's quite a diverse sort of range of skills between the two of us. So it really helped us because, for example, like husband's got experience in retail, and that eventually helped us when we established our first two retail stores. So besides the Accidental Bakers, we also have a little baby called the Brownies Bar.
Oh,
Yeah. And so that's our little brownie specialist store. So anything that's brownie related, we sort of park it under our brownies brand. Anything that is not a brownie gets parked under the Accidental Bakers.
Did they both start concurrently, or did the brownie bar come a little bit later on?
Brownies Bar came much later. So that was our first store opened in 2016.
2 years after.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, which was quite fast.
Oh my God.
Thinking about it, it was quite fast actually. We didn't think that was ever going to happen. Like having a retail store was never part of our plan as well. But it was a case of an accident where opportunity arose. Somebody offered us sort of opportunity, and we were like, let's try.
Yeah.
So again, we tried, and we said, and we didn't put like a ton of hope into it. We're like, if we get it, we get it. We don't get it, it's fine. Life goes on, and we're okay with that.
Yeah.
But it eventually ended up being that it was okay. Our proposal for our first brick and mortar store was accepted, and it happened to be at one of the biggest malls in Malaysia, which is Pavilion KL. So we were so proud of that, because you think about it, for us, and a homegrown brand, an unknown brand, because we're always saying we're not McDonald's, we're not Tea Life, we're not these big brands that people know about. We're a small little homegrown online bakery, and now they're taking a risk and letting us have our own little brick and mortar store at one of the busiest malls in Kuala Lumpur.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that was it was a dream come true.
Right.
Yeah.
So because you said that there were lots of skills that you could use transferred over, what about like people that have worked in corporate, that have got all these network and connections of people that they've built in the previous organization? Did you use that somehow to support the growth of the brownie bar as well as the accidental
Absolutely.
bakers?
So when it came time for us to launch our store, that's where I took the lead. So that was where our media, PR, and communications came about. So I took charge of that. And it ended up being, this was my chance to actually call up a lot of my old contacts and go, hey, do you remember I left and went and started my own thing? I have my own thing now at the Pavilion. Would you like to come over and have a look? And I'm grateful that I still had really great relationships with certain individuals in the media as well. And they were so happy to come over and support us. And back then in 2016 or 17, oh my God, I'm like, I can't remember the exact
around
dates
that
now.
time. Yeah, it's okay.
But back then, it wasn't the era of your TikTok viral, your
influencers.
Influencers or Instagram viral. There was no such thing. I think Instagram was like just starting up then. It was just starting to get popular.
Yeah.
Don't even talk about TikTok. It didn't even exist
Didn't
here
exist,
yet. So we didn't have the luxury of that. A lot of bakeries that have that today, a lot of sort of sweet places these days have that luxury of going viral and things like that. So for us, it was a lot of word of mouth and literally just hard work. It was blood, sweat, and tears to get the word out that we had this place, because back then we were like, how are we going to get into all the channels of communication to tell KL that we're here? Come and buy from us.
How do you make enough noise?
That's exactly it. How do you generate enough noise for everybody to come visit us? Because now the ballpark had changed. We're now in a brick and mortar store. We needed bodies to come into the store and buy from us. It's no longer an online business where we're waiting for an order to come in on our website. Yeah. So this is now different. We want bodies to come in the store. We want people to come in. But that was exactly why we picked Pavilion as our very first sort of location, was because it's the center of the city, which meant we were guaranteed a constant office crowd.
It's good traffic.
Good traffic, lunch and after dinner especially.
The tourists as well.
The tourists, yeah, exactly. We knew we were going to get a constant flow of tourists. And at the end of the day, why we chose brownies as our first sort of product to launch in a brick and mortar was because it was our best-selling product, one. We had developed a crazy repertoire of flavors. At one point, we went up to 20 over flavors of brownies.
Wow.
And say what you want, it's a global dessert that everybody understands. You can put a brownie in any country in the world, and I think
They'll recognize it.
They know what it is.
Yeah.
So we knew it was going to be safe for tourists as well. You didn't want, to have a dessert where a tourist would come in and go, what in the world is this? You wanted something that I would say, to say any nationality would know exactly what it is. Yeah, and that was our appeal. That was like sort of our selling angle for everybody. Yeah,
it's the instant recognition of
yes.
This is a brownie and it reminds me of home and I want to have it.
Exactly. And then with a name as simple as the Brownies Bar, we are what we are. There's nothing to hide behind it. Yeah. What do we sell? We sell brownies. Yeah.
And so you said at one point I was 20 over flavors. So which one was your favorite? Or your most favorite or the most experimental flavor?
Okay, my personal favorite was definitely, until today, it's still one of our best selling, which is the sea salt almond.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of sweet, it's a little bit of salty, a little bit of crunch. So that's my personal favorite.
Nice.
But the best selling to date is still our signature dark chocolate. Yeah, because it's the perfect balance of not too sweet, but still really chocolatey in your mouth. Yeah.
Nothing beats a classical dark chocolate.
Exactly. And probably the best flavor to go with ice cream as well.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. But we've gone all the way to making, I'm now thinking back, We made granola brownies where we topped it because we wanted something. We wanted something for breakfast, so we sort of handmade our own granola mix and packed it on top. But no, it didn't do very well. Our chai brownies didn't do very well for Deepavali, unfortunately.
Chai latte brownies.
We did chai latte brownies
chai
for
latte.
Deepavali, but that didn't do very well.
Oh, so that is how you were testing it then?
Yes,
that's a
we tend
different
to
stage
use-
of testing.
Correct. So for us, I think we're lucky we're in a country where we celebrate so many different
Festivals,
festivities.
yeah.
So that was usually our most, the best time to sort of debut limited edition or sort of funny flavors. But the ones that really surprised us that ended up doing really well was ones like we actually did durian brownies that did very, very well.
No.
It did extremely well. And the irony is I don't eat durian and neither does my business partner. So for us making that was an absolute nightmare because we didn't like the smell, but we were like, you do it for the money. You do it for the money.
And then who's going to test it when it's ready?
Oh, that's where our team came in. Our team loved brownies. So they were like, oh, this is so good. We're like, okay, we trust you. We trust you. It's good. Okay.
Oh, God.
So our durian brownies did really well. And then to sort of complement that, because we realized not everybody eats durian like ourselves, we did our chimpada blondies.
Okay.
That did extremely well as well. So a blondie is a white chocolate brownie instead. So we also wanted to appeal to people who didn't like chocolate. And yes, there are people we've come to realize who don't like chocolate.
That's weird. I don't trust these people.
And these were people who liked white chocolate. So that's why we started sort of inching into the blondie market. And that's, at the end of the day, we realized that because a blondie is a white chocolate base, it's actually very versatile. So you can literally put any flavor on top of it and it works. Yeah, so our chimpada blondies did well.
Can you imagine how fragrant that would make? the
Yes, so it was
brownie?
reminiscent of like a chimpada goreng. So that was kind of our inspiration for that as well. Our red velvet did really well. Our red velvet brownies did very, very well. So that's like almost a cheesecake brownie.
Right.
Yeah, so things like that. So it gave us a lot of room to play around. And yeah, I think we did even more funny flavors that I can't remember now. But thinking back, it was nice because we wanted to pack our shelves full of different flavors.
Yeah.
But after a while, we realized that probably wasn't the best idea because there was just a lot of wastage because these were flavors that were not selling.
Right.
So why not focus on the top like 15 that did well and let's just focus on that.
I understand.
Yeah.
So after a while, you realize that the resources was well put into something that actually
Exactly.
would generate the revenue.
Exactly.
again.
At the end of the day, we were noticing that easily 8 out of 10 customers were only picking this side of the shelves.
I see.
So we were like, I think it's time
Focus there.
we focus there. Exactly. Yeah.
You said that you didn't have any prior baking experience,
Yeah.
so the learning curve must have been very steep.
It was steep. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
But I think we were lucky. Sometimes we got it on the first try.
I see.
There have been times we've gotten very lucky and gotten it on the first try. But there were also times where 10 tries later, it just didn't work.
I see.
But I think with the more that we baked and the more that we made and the more that we did, after a while we started being able to analyze recipes where just by reading and looking at sort of ingredients, we knew if it was going to work or it wasn't going to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, because you said that YouTube was your main source
Yeah,
of
we didn't have
influence.
TikTok or Instagram then to teach us.
You didn't have
we had
AI
YouTube.
either.
No, we didn't have AI.
ChatGPT, make
None
a brownie.
of that. None of that. We had YouTube.
Right. So just YouTube tutorials. That was your main source.
That
of-
and a lot of the internet and reading recipes.
Okay.
Yeah, because at that point, access to Google was still it was
Limited.
Yeah, it was limited.
Yeah.
But there were recipes, and unfortunately, like for us, brownies is traditionally an American dessert. And American desserts are scary. The amount of sugar they put in that is
Yeah.
really, really scary. That's why we always say that when we take recipes or whatever, we can never take it as it is. We always have to tweak because the sugar levels are crazy. Because at the end of the day, we always say that dessert shouldn't be eating a mouthful of sugar.
exactly.
It should be balanced, everything. And I think our greatest sort of compliment, which everybody would agree, is when somebody eats it, they go, "Oh, it's so nice. It's not too sweet."
Yes.
Oh, that is music to our ears.
That's the highest praise you can get.
It is the highest praise, and really, it's music to our ears. When we hear that, we're like, "Oh, we've done it! Yeah,
Right.
success!" Yeah.
I would like to ask then, you're 14 years and counting now. And so I would like to know maybe a little bit about what do you think was the toughest part of the journey?
I think it was staffing. And I think that will be and I'll say this for a lot of people in the baking industry as well. because there's not a lot of people with the skill set. But for us, that was never a hindrance. For us, it was attitude and it was passion, because we felt that if you have that, I think we can teach you. So we were really confident about that. But I think when we first started and we were expanding the team, especially when we had our retail stores. So right after we opened our pavilion store, we were very lucky that 6 months later we were approached by Gardens Mid Valley to open as well, which we did. And that was such a shock as well, because they had actually heard a radio interview that we did, that we were looking to open a second outlet. And literally the minute the interview ended, our phone rang. It was, I think they must have been listening. They must have been listening to the show, because immediately they called our landline and they're like, "Hi, we're from the leasing department of the Gardens. We'd like you to come see a lot." And we were like, oh wow.
My God, what a big deal.
It was such a big deal, because it's also one of the biggest malls in KL. And we've actually heard a lot of stories where there's like a 2-year waiting list to even get a lot at the Gardens.
And you were headhunted.
Exactly. People were calling and saying, "Would you like to open?" And we were like, "Yes, show us the lot." Yeah. So it ended up being a lot that we loved as well. So yeah, we ended up opening that. But when we started opening the physical stores, that's when we realized where we needed people the most, because we now needed people to take care of the stores 7 days a week. And it had to be 10 to 10. These were mall rules. These were not our rules. These are mall rules.
Yeah.
And staffing became a real big issue for us. When we first started, it was just the two of us. And I'll admit, we tried to do everything by ourselves, because we were at a place where money was tight initially.
Yes.
So as I think a lot of people who have started it will say that if I can do it myself to save money, I will. Yeah. So for us to eventually grow the team was a hard process, because finding the right skill set was tough. And trying to find people, for example, with baking experience was not easy as well. And trying to find people who could run a retail store was also not an easy thing to do, because we didn't have the experience for it. We didn't even know where to physically start looking for these people. Where do you find these people to do all this? Yeah, something that we'd never done before. Do we put up a sign, at our store?
Job Street.
Yeah, Job Street, help wanted. What do we do?
You can get your partners the headhunted.
That's exactly it. But unfortunately, he was headhunting CEOs and all, so that wasn't part of our...
Not the right demographic.
Right demographics for us, unfortunately. Yeah. But for us, at the end of the day, we realized that we were looking for people with passion and excitement and willingness to learn. I think if you had that, we were sold, because at the end of the day, we felt that skills could be built, skills could be trained if you were willing to learn. And I think that was something that not everybody we saw had those skills. Yeah. So when we eventually found the right people, we did. But I think one of the first mistakes we did was we actually felt that we wanted to rely on foreign workers.
Okay.
So starting off, we did end up using a lot of foreign workers at our stores, especially. And at the end of the day, we realized that we need to stick to home turf. We ended up hiring sort of locals, and that ended up being sort of the biggest joy. And we realized that our own people were the best.
Right.
Really, yeah. And now we've got this fantastic crew that we work with, and we also call them the accidental bakers.
Because they're baking as well.
They're baking as well. So half the team ended up going into taking care of our retail stores. Half the team went into the kitchen to come help us. And they too ended up being accidental bakers. And I like to say that these days, they're actually better than we are.
Oh
they
my
bake better than we are,
gosh.
because they're doing it every single day, obviously. So they're doing it better than we are. So we have our own little team of accidental bakers as well.
You're really staying true to the name, the accidental
Yes,
bakers.
absolutely.
And I like that you are not looking at the prior experience, because that's how you started as well.
Yeah.
And it's about taking a chance on somebody
Absolutely.
as well. Just
Absolutely.
because this person's never baked before doesn't mean that there's no potential there.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's
Yeah.
important to surround yourself with the right people, the right
Yeah.
energy, the right vibes. And maybe then my next question would be, what was the biggest mental obstacle that you had to overcome to be this person that you are now, that's owned two successful businesses?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it's just to keep trying. Yeah, I think there have been a lot of lows. I was just thinking about this when I was driving over here, at all the lows that we've been through, as well as all the highs. Because as we all know, social media is heavily curated. So what I show you, or what I show everyone on social media, and what we show, from the company accounts, are the good stuff.
The best part.
The best parts, the markets that we do, our beautiful stores. But we don't show you the ugly things. We don't show you scrubbing the floors, in the middle of the night when we first moved into our kitchen and things like
Really?
that.
That's what you had to
Yeah,
do?
when we first got the keys to our central kitchen, of course, when it was just the two of us, it's okay, we save money. We'll clean the place ourselves. With anything, whatever we think we can do, we do. Yeah, so here we are. I remember us laughing. We were literally scrubbing on our hands and knees. We're like, Cece, give out your corporate job to be Cinderella. Look at what we've done. Look at where we are now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so these are things that we obviously don't show. Yeah, but there were some very, very hard times where at one point we didn't believe in work-life balance because we had this mentality that we had to keep going and going and going, that if we stopped, everything would fail. I don't know why we felt we had this kind of mindset. So we used to work 6.5 days, I think, for at least a year.
Oh my god.
We'd only give ourselves like after lunch on a Sunday off, and then on Monday morning we'd be up and running again.
That's like working a lot. It's a lot more hours put into even a corporate job, like
Exactly.
a 9 to 5, but you don't have a 9 to 5.
Exactly. And already being an entrepreneur, unfortunately, we don't turn off. We may be home by 6 or 7 every day, but our minds are still thinking, have we answered that email from this morning? Have we fulfilled the orders from that? Have we set up our Lala Move for our deliveries? Have we updated the accounting sheet? Our minds are still going, unfortunately, and we don't turn off even after we leave our kitchen. And I think it was the biggest mental thing is just keep going. During our lowest points, and there have been months, unfortunately, where the months aren't so great. And one of those months is Puasa. I think a lot of people know that during Puasa, our business drops tremendously. It's almost worrying sometimes, but it picks up. As Raya approaches, it really picks up.
I see.
Yeah. But the first sort of 3 weeks leading up into Puasa, it's hard because people aren't spending, people aren't eating, which we understand, but business dips. And business dips a lot. Yeah. So in times like that, sometimes when sales aren't as par or we're not breaking even, it keeps us up at night. It will keep us up at night. And we're the type of employers where we feel that we don't like owing people money. We don't like having debt. We don't like having creditors and things like that. So for us, it was really important for us to always pay our staff on time. Our team always gets paid on time. There was no excuses for that. Our suppliers were always paid on time. Our utilities were always paid on time. And sometimes, unfortunately, that meant there was nothing left for us at the end of the month. And there were certain times and certain periods over our entire sort of career where that has happened, unfortunately, where we didn't have enough to pay ourselves. And I don't know if a lot of people will say that out loud, but there have been times we struggled personally because there was nothing left at the bottom of the barrel, because we always felt as well we needed to have a little safety nest. And that was for anything that would potentially happen. It could be a fridge breakdown, or, something breaks down. And we still didn't want to touch that for our own salary.
Of course.
So it's very sort of, what's the word for it? It's almost like we love everything except ourselves, unfortunately.
Taking care of everyone else's needs first.
Correct. And unfortunately, we had to be last.
I see.
Yeah. And there have been times those were really low lows, because when you get to the end of the month, you're like, oh my God, there's no money for me. But we have to just keep going because we're like, we need to keep this going.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such a stark contrast of getting a very regular, stable source of income every month. And then now that's just taken away from you.
Exactly.
But what kept you going, or why did you keep going when it was so scary and so unstable and you didn't know that the business would pick up again later on? What kept you strong and what was your support, I guess?
I think it's just literally the love for our business, really. At the end of the day, we are always saying we are so grateful that we get to wake up and do something that we love, one. And two, we're in a business where we're serving happiness. We also love the fact that we get to be a part of a lot of people's happy celebrations. We're part of people's birthdays. We're part of people's parents' birthdays. We're part of anniversaries. We're part of weddings. We're part of hantarans. We get to be a part of so many people's happy occasions.
The special moments.
People's special moments, exactly. We love that, gender reveals, everybody's sort of happy moments, and we get to be a part of that. And we're also always so grateful that you've chosen us to be a part of your special day. You could have chosen any other baker. I mean, there are now literally tens of thousands of bakers out there, but you chose us to be part of your birthday. You chose us to be a part of your wedding day. Yeah. And because we've been doing this for so long, it's gotten to a situation where we've made cakes for everybody's birthday in one family. Or
Really?
yeah, and it's gone on
Wow.
from like a wedding cake to a gender reveal cake to the baby's first birthday cake, and we've gotten to be a part of those beautiful journeys, and we love that. We've loved that they consider us, a part of their happy times. Yeah.
It's so beautiful that you get to follow them along as they progress through
Exactly,
life. Yeah.
exactly. And so these are things we remind ourselves every day that when we get up, we're doing something that we love. We really, really do love what we do. So sometimes, unfortunately, when you're thrown into the deep end, you just keep treading and hoping that your head will stay above water, that eventually that you will hit a place where you can stand up in the water. And for us, never giving up was just not an option. Yeah.
I see.
Just keep going. We said we try again tomorrow. We try again tomorrow. And these are the times where it forces us to be really creative as well. Does this mean we have to come up with promos? Do we need new promos? Should we be coming up with different things? Yeah. So it's just constantly trying.
Right.
Yeah. And whatever we can do to bring in. Yeah.
I see. And so then your learning curve from becoming a baker eventually evolves into becoming a business owner and a retail
absolutely.
store owner.
Yes.
And then without AI, because I can't imagine. I mean, we lived through life without
Yeah.
AI. What was your source of information then to turn into an entrepreneur and a business owner?
Oh, it's really a lot of gut and feel, unfortunately, for
I
us.
see.
Yeah, it was literally just what we felt was right. And this isn't sort of a humble brag or anything, but it was just we feel this is right and we're gonna go with it. And I think honestly, thankfully as well, 9 out of 10 times it has worked in our favor. And we've gone with what we felt is most comfortable or what we were comfortable doing or exploring.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a humble brag. I think leading with intuition is a very important and big and courageous thing to do as well.
It is, and I think that also comes with experience. I don't think we would have been as courageous had we done this like in our first year or when we first started. I don't think we would have been as brave or as courageous. But when you get to a point like your body tells you things, you can sort of feel certain things where you're like, this is going to be okay eventually. I think we just need to ride this out. Yeah.
What do you wish that more people knew about this journey?
It's hard, and I will never glorify that by saying it's been a walk in the park. It's not been a walk in the park. And I also think it's okay to say that this is not for you.
Right.
Yeah, we've come to realize as well that entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And if it's not for you, it's absolutely fine. If you are more comfortable working for someone with a steady salary every month, that's great for you. Because it's steady, it's comfortable, it's safe. By all means, go ahead. Absolutely fine. Because unfortunately, as an entrepreneur as well, not all of us are blessed with a lot of funds behind our names as well. So sometimes it's a very different journey.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think it's the stability that you have to give up that not many people realize the
Correct.
toll that it takes on you as
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I say it's hard, it's a 24/7 job. You don't get to, it's not like when you work for someone at 6 o'clock, you shut down your laptop and you're kind of done for the day. We don't. Our minds are still racing. It used to be a point as well that when we used to take leave, we'd still be like checking in. You know what I mean? We're still checking in, or if we're not in the country, we're still messaging back and saying, how many pounds of brownies did you make today?
How's this order going?
How's this order going?
How's the cake doing?
How's the cake doing? We were still checking in. So even on holiday, we're checking in. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't turn off. But eventually we had to establish boundaries. And that was something that me and my business partner were we felt very strongly for. So it got to a point where we were like, if you are on leave, you are going to switch off completely.
Right.
You are not to message back and ask how the cake is, because whoever is around will handle it.
Yeah.
I said, if the kitchen is on fire, if we are drowning, if we are what, we will tell you.
Right.
You will be the first person we tell if anything happens. But if 20 trays of brownies went out today, you don't need to know that. You can find that out when you come back from leave. For us, that became a very strong boundary that we wanted to enforce, because that was for mental health for us. We were just like, you cannot try to relax or try to enjoy yourself when you're worrying about what's happening back in Malaysia.
You're
You're
not being fully present in
exactly.
where you are.
And you've already spent money on this beautiful holiday. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy what you're doing. Don't worry about what's happening in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's fine. And I think we're at a place as well that we can trust each other to handle things. So it's like, why didn't we do this before? It's like, it's fine. So for us, boundaries were something that was very, very important as well.
see.
That's why when we suddenly realized that we were working 6.5 days, we were like, enough. This is not healthy. This is not how we should be living our lives. And this is not what we gave up corporate for.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there needs to be a balance. We close the kitchen at X time every day. If, and we at the end of the day, I still want us to take at least 2 days off a week.
Okay.
It could be the weekend, it could be a weekday, but whatever it is, we only work 5 days a week. We need our own time to ourselves to do our own things. This business shouldn't consume everything about our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to have and set that boundary when you're in such a structured place before in your 9 to 5 where you know when to clock in and clock out. You have to
Yes.
create that boundaries for
Correct.
yourself.
And if we can do it at a corporate job, why couldn't we do it
Exactly.
with our own, where we could make our own rules? I think it was very easy to forget because you're always thinking that you're working for someone, that you forget that because this is ours, we can make our own rules. So why are we not
You're
making
supposed to have more freedom.
Yes, exactly. And we can make
Yeah.
our own rules. So why are we not making our own rules? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Empowerment and freedom.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're coming to a closing now.
Oh, so fast.
Right. It's a pleasure speaking to you. But before we wrap up, I just want to ask you one last question.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of a random fun question that you actually
Okay.
chose before, Ee-Lyn.
Yes.
And so, where do you go to get your local food cravings satisfied?
Okay. When I say local food cravings, and these are like the two things I crave, like especially if you've been on holiday and then you come back to KL.
I need to have this.
I need to have this. And for
Yes.
me, it's two things.
Yeah.
One being char kway teow. That's like my
course.
must-have. And nasi lemak. These are the two things that I'll be like, this is what I want when I come back. Yeah. So for me, my go-to char kway teow is actually in Batai, in Jalan Batai, in Damansara Heights.
Okay.
At the corner coffee shop. It's surprisingly a pork-free char kway teow, but it's got great wok hei, fantastic wok hei,
Okay.
and I always have to have it with a sunny side egg on top, extra spicy. Love.
Have to have extra spicy.
Yeah, extra spicy and an egg on top, fantastic. No lapchang or anything. I mean, no bits of pork, but it's just got such incredible wok hei that it just makes up for everything else.
Awesome.
My favorite, definitely. For nasi lemak, with all the war of all the bougie nasi lemak,
You're going to pick a team right now, Ee-Lyn.
I am going to pick a team right now. Yeah, with all the war of the bougies, the bougie nasi lemak.
Yeah.
I'm a nasi lemak shop fan. So that's my favorite. Is nasi lemak
Okay.
shop.
Team
Yeah.
Nasi Lemak shop.
Yeah, over Burung Hantu.
Oh, God.
I always choose nasi lemak shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've just realized that they've expanded to so many outlets because they started from a tiny little store in Bandar Utama.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's from a tiny little shop in the corner, and at last count, I think there's like 3 or 4 extra outlets now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've managed to try a couple of those, and I'm glad to say quality has been great across them.
Lovely.
So good, yeah.
Awesome.
My favorite nasi lemak of all time.
Okay, there you have it. Now you know where to go for good char kway teow and good nasi lemak.
please, always.
Thank you so much, Ee-Lyn, for your time today.
Thank you for having me. It's been so fun today.
Such a pleasure. Thank you guys for listening and for watching as well. Tune in for the next episode. Thank you. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed my first episode. It was really fun to film. If you found the conversation with Ee-Lyn interesting and you want to support her, you can do so by going onto her website, www.accidentalbakers.com. We've got lots of new guests lined up, a lot of interesting topics to cover. So if you're interested, please follow me on YouTube, Spotify, and also Instagram. The handle is @OutOfOfficeForGood. See you on the next episode.